Boom. Hello, and welcome to the Rock and Roll Podcast. I am your host, John Harris, and on my right-hand side is my right-hand man, Gabriel.
Actually, I'm on the left-hand side because I'm sitting on that lap.
You are on my left-hand side. That sample we just heard was The King is Dead by Connect the Circle, who have got on the show with me right now. They've got a new album called This Is Madness, which was released in February via Symphonium Records. Right now I'm being joined by Errol to share some stories about the music and share more info about the band. So, Errol, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, John.
You are quite welcome. Great to have you on. All right, come back from the track, The King is Dead. And my note on this one, Errol, and I hope you take it as a compliment, but it's as if Malevolent Creation, Nevermore, and Megadeth got together and made a big baby.
Well, thank you for saying that. I guess, we write sort of our music, we take a little bit here and a little bit there and put it together, and hopefully it still, sounds like us. But yeah.
Very cool. And in terms of sounding like Connect the Circle, I guess, aside from everybody's just heard the one track and they can hear that, but I guess from your perspective, when you guys come together to work on a track, what makes it Connect the Circle?
I think we listen to a lot of different sort of music, all of us in the band, and we collect inspiration from of course we listen to all different types of metal and hard rock and all of that, but all the music from other genders as well. We listen to everything, and we try to not think, when we write music, we don't want to sit back and think we're going to write this or that. We just sort of mix it all together, and hopefully we give it a touch that nobody else does, and that makes it Connect the Circle, I guess.
Very cool. Now, when it comes to the track, The King is Dead, well, who is the king? Why did he die? What's the story here? Is it a concept album?
And who killed him?
No. It's not a concept album. And I think when I'm talking about the king in this particular song, it's got nothing to do with a certain king. It's just a saying, and I'm saying in the end of the song, the king is dead, long live the king, and then the war is over, long live the war. So it's just a picture of the fact that everything goes in circles, It's hard to stop bad things from happening again, I guess.
Well, and then that's how you connect the circle.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. That's a very interesting juxtaposition. So does the entire song then go through that kind of theme where you introduce a topic and then say, oh, by the way, kind of like you said, well, the king is dead, and then you introduce, well, long live the king. How many do you, speaking of connecting the circle, do you complete it the entire time in the song? Or does the song end on a cliffhanger, on an open loop?
Well, I think more of a cliffhanger, as you put it.
Okay.
Yeah, I would say that.
Yeah, boom. All right, coming back from the track In My Darkest Hour, which opens up with just super ominous, I don't even know what that is, a flanger or something on the guitars, but man, oh man, it definitely introduces a unique soundscape where I'm suddenly sucked into a world that I don't think I want to be in. Now...
Good point.
Yeah. What is this darkest hour? I mean, obviously, if it were the king and he's dying and he's not long living, that would definitely be a dark hour.
well, this song is it's definitely the darkest song on the album when it comes to the theme. This song is about, I guess, being at the lowest point in your life, and at that point you meet a character who's worse off than you, and then you end up being the guy who has to be the strong one, because there's actually people out there who are worse off than yourself, even if you're, even if you hit rock bottom. So it's a very dark song, but I think it has a some sort of, I don't know how to put this, but the whole song is more of a state of mind, and everything will work out, no matter how bad it looks at the moment.
Yeah, well, I kind of heard something positive, unless that's just, my take on it. You mentioned that it's a very dark song, but something in there that you mentioned was, at your lowest point, but realizing that your lowest point is actually pretty high for some other people.
Yeah, exactly.
And despite that, you could use that energy to help bring somebody else up. So that actually sounds fairly positive.
That's spot on. That's the whole idea of the song. Yes.
Wow. The funny thing is, especially with regard to what's going on now, where people are asking us like, "Oh, how's your marriage holding up?" Well, it's the best it's been because we're best friends and we've been hanging out at home, and people are kind of like, "Huh?" Or how's your relationship with your kids? Oh, it's the best it's ever been because we're best friends and we're hanging out at home. Like it's great, and we've noticed that there's quite a few people that are not handling this situation as best as possible, and we're kind of getting a little bit of that envious derision, you could say, from some people out there, especially from neighboring cities. Our city's doing great. We're releasing lockdown, but our other major city, 2 hours from us, has got more cases than whole provinces next door. So. If I'm chatting with somebody from there, they don't sound the same as we sound up here. So it's very interesting how, what we consider to be our rock bottom and everything can be a place of envy for other people.
Exactly, and that's something you should keep in mind from time to time, because you get stuck in your own bubble, and sometimes you don't realize that. Wait a minute, it's not that bad, everything will work out.
Yeah. Now, speaking of everything that will work out, if you dug the two tracks, The King is Dead and In My Darkest Hour, then you'll be super excited to know that in February came a full album via Symphonium Records called This Is Madness. And my goodness gracious, Errol, that is quite the artwork there. There's some guy who looks like he's trying to comfort himself on a hill of skulls or something.
Yeah, the artwork is pretty out there, and the Hill of Skull things is, of course, based around the song with the same name. So we put some of the songs in the same picture with this guy. So I don't know. I didn't design this myself, but I guess it comes from a twisted mind as well.
Well, he would be quite the jester, if you ask me. All my life, I've always wanted to burn the sky. Now, I guess my big question, you can't burn the sky. Well, that's one of the track titles, so apparently you can.
Yeah, you can.
Of course you can. All right, now, the album, This Is Madness. These two tracks that we heard, The King is Dead and In My Darkest Hour, I think give a broad... there's quite a bit of breadth, I would say, to the album. Mm-hmm. But hearing from you, what should we expect when we pick the record up? Is it similar to these two tracks?
Both yes and no, I guess, because these, as you say, these tracks they're quite different from each other. But I think the whole album. Every song sounds like Connect the Circle, but there's certainly some fast songs, some slow songs, and so there is. It sounds like an album, but still, the songs are quite different. So it's more of a package, I think. So if you put on one song, you won't exactly know what Connect the Circle are. You need to hear a few more, I guess.
Okay, very cool. Now, I guess my next question is, something that you had mentioned is, obviously the band name is called Connect the Circle. The first track, The King is Dead, plays on that. Is that a theme that recurs throughout the album?
No, not really. At least I wasn't thinking like that when I wrote the lyrics. So, no, not really.
Okay. Perfect. Now, when it comes to the title, This Is Madness, when you guys were sitting down to put the album together, is it just a moniker? Like, This Is Madness? Is it just a name? Or is there a theme that maybe runs through the album?
No, this is actually the title. This is Madness. Is actually the title of the last song on the album. Is called United States of Oppression, and I spent so much time trying to figure out the vocals on that one. So eventually, I wrote totally different lyrics and another melody on top of the guitars and everything. And that was called This Is Madness. And then I just tossed it all away because I wasn't happy with it. So I wrote new lyrics and a new melody, which ended up as United States of Oppression. But our guitar player, Kenneth, he always thought that the title This Is Madness was sort of a cool title. So he decided actually that we should call the album This Is Madness. And well, we thought that was, why not?
Yeah. No, it is a cool title.
Yeah, I think so.
Very cool title. All right, beautiful. Now, is there any other news that maybe I missed? I know during this time things are pretty quiet for a lot of bands, but this episode will air either about a month from now, so like late June, early July-ish. Is there any news that maybe I missed? Typically, we'd be chatting about, tours and summer festivals, but can't ask any of those questions.
No. All of that got cancelled. We had quite a few gigs coming up, and we had to cancel all of them, of course. So what we did, we sort of separated ourselves. We didn't rehearse for a while because of the whole Corona situation. But we decided to spend the time writing new music instead. So we've been writing our asses off for the past couple of months. Basically we've written our next album because of the whole pandemic situation. So that's a good thing.
Yeah, absolutely. Abso-freaking-lutely. All right. Well, silly question to ask you at the end of the interview. I'm such a jerk. Am I saying your name correctly? Is it Arold?
No, it's not. None of the above.
None of the above. All right.
Well, I can teach you, but because in Norway we have this sharp R. We don't say R. We pronounce it differently. So instead of R, we say R. R. So it's A-rill instead of R-rill.
Wow.
And I've tried to teach a few Canadians and Americans over the years, but none of them get it right. So don't even bother.
Don't even bother. All right. Well, rild. That's the best I can try. I speak Spanish.
Sorry?
They roll their R's in Spanish and in Russian, so I'm used to rolling R's, but that's rild.
Pretty close.
All right, you hear that, son? I'm practically Norwegian.
Hi.
All right, well, Errol, thank you so much for coming on to the Rock Metal Podcast.
No worries. Thanks a lot for having me here, John.